Hey guys, I'm Hannah, your host. Welcome to OnlyPham. I have Fabio here, Grazia,
Gracia.
Gracia, as my guest for today's episode. Fabio,
Here
glad
I
to have you
am.
here. Here you
Thank
are.
you.
Yes, here you are. Today's episode, I wanted to talk about and walk you guys through Fabio's life story. We met at a bachata festival, actually, and he's a great dancer. But there were some conversations that we had that were super interesting, like how he kind of started, well, not really started, but what caught my attention was how he came from waiting tables to becoming a model all the way to being a neurosurgeon that he is today. So, with that, I wanted to give you some time to introduce yourself a little bit more, and then we'll get down to more questions.
Okay. so, uh, I'm Fabio Grassia. I'm Italian. You can hear from my accent. And I, it's been now a few years that I'm here in US. I'm currently in Denver, and I've been here for 4 years. And I'm a neurosurgeon. I work in Denver. That's my practice, and I I love it. But I you spoiled a little bit. My life is a little bit more complicated than that. So here I am.
Thank you for that
Absolutely.
introduction. Thank you. Yes, I'm sure it's more complicated than how I just summarized your life. This is true. Okay, so actually, the moral of this episode, I wanted to talk about the challenges that you, and even sacrifices that you had to go through to basically chase your dreams and make them come true. I don't imagine it was an easy route for you coming from Italy, sorry, you correct me. I'm sorry if that was racist
No, it's
or
fine.
something. But coming from a different culture and then coming to a different culture and even from different career things that you had to do to get to where you are today. So I wanted to ask you first. So neurosurgery, was this something that was always a dream of yours when you were a kid, or how did you get to the point that you knew this was your dream?
So I always wanted to be a doctor, and
Mhm.
that was my my main passion. Well, that's not true. There was a point I wanted to be an actor and come to US to go to Hollywood, but it's a
Okay.
different story. And I always want to be a doctor and living in America.
Okay.
Which as you guys can I can promise to you, as a foreigner, is never easy. It's very hard to get over here. There's a lot of things that you have to do, and the immigration process is a very tough and hard things to get. It's impossible, no, it takes time. And so since I was very 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 young, I was watching all the American movies, and oh my god, I'm dreaming of New York and Miami and Vegas. And so I decided that I had to learn English, and I had to learn
Mm.
English in a way that it's more that you can learn at school. So I decided that every summer, and this was during my med school, there's some look online, some agency who were recruiting basically people who wanted to just go to UK and do some hot jobs. Could be like everything, like working in a store, customer service, waitress or waiters in restaurants. And I just apply, pay a small fee, and they contact me, and they said, okay, you can come here. We put you in contact with few people. You go interview for jobs. And so was in med school, finished my exams, my finals, and flying to London usually end of June, beginning of July. And I started working. The first job I got in London, it was, this place is now closed. It's called Trocadero, which is a huge kind of a multi-departmental store. They had casino inside, the movie theater, bumper cars. And yeah, and I used to. The first job I got there was customer service and cleaner. So I was cleaning. I was cleaning at the morning, early in the morning, cleaning the bumper cars and the pool tables, and then in the afternoon, I was being like just customer service if people asking information, and at night because I was like kind of big, they put me at the entrance of the casino to check IDs, making sure that people were not underage. And this went on for almost every year, and but that was not the only job. At some point, that possibility was not longer available. So the next time I went back to London, they hooked me up with a restaurant and an Italian restaurant. And obviously, I speak Italian, so it was easy for me.
I
And
hope so.
yes, and so, by the way, in all of this, my English was horrible. Now it's still not great, but better than it was before. And
I understand it, so that's good.
so the story was that I was learning English, and the restaurant was perfect fit for me at some point. And I was a waiter and kind of welcoming people. And one day, the manager called me and said, there is a couple in a table that is, they want to talk to you. So I thought I'm fired. I did something wrong. And so I went there, be ready to be like, oh, they're gonna, they're gonna tell that I messed up something. But actually, husband and wife, people, maybe in their 60s, and they gave me a card and told me, we think you're kind of cute and very interesting. Why don't you call us? We have an agency, and I think you can work for us. And I say yes at the time, being very polite, and left. And I went home, and I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna call those people. I'm alone in London. I don't speak the language very well. Those people are, who knows." Then I called my mom, and I told her about the story. My mom told me, "Why don't you go? I mean, what can happen?" And few weeks passed by, and before going back to Italy, because the new year, the med school was starting,
How
I
old were
called
you during this time?
22, 23.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, in between 20 23. Those were my years there.
When you got into med school.
When I got to med school, yes.
Okay.
And I told you every summer I was going to London. So I called these people. They told me, okay, come to our studios, our agency. So I went there, and they actually were legit. So they took picture for free and put some cute outfit, and I started working with them. I started working for catwalks and pictures, and um, they were calling me to model for some event. Um, and I did that for all my med school, so 6 years basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I had opportunity to travel to Spain, and I learned Spain as well, Spanish. So, and this allowed me to do a fun job while I was studying medicine and learn English. And this was thanks to that I learned English decently, and it was what allowed me to then come to US to work and become a neurosurgeon here.
Wow.
Here it is.
Fabuloso. Thank you for sharing that
Absolutely.
story. See, it was not as simple as how
No.
I explained it in the beginning. And I actually have some more questions to
Yes.
dive
Please go
deeper
ahead.
into that. It sounds like it was your early 20s when you went to med school that you decided to take on these odd jobs, if you want to call it that, to support your your studies in
Mhm.
medicine, right? What was going through your mind in terms of doing whatever it takes to make this neurosurgery journey to coming to being a neurosurgeon in America like a reality? Like, what was it for you that motivated you to take on these hesitations? Because you told me that you're like, damn, these people are sketchy. I don't probably not going to call them, but you did it. What was going through your mind during that time?
I mean, it's when you have a goal, you need to be ready to sacrifice, to risk. And risk is a big part of that. I mean, you need to play hard if you want to obtain something that is above the average. Let's say that. And you know, there is I always say that, and this is I tell to people who they contact me from abroad to ask me how it's possible. I want to be a surgeon in US. I want to live in America, and have the American dream. Which, by the way, it's not for everybody because it's not easy. It's not unfortunately. Um, Modern times are not like in the past, so something it's for sure is not going to be easy. But if you have a goal, if you are ready to sacrifice and work hard, you're gonna make it. Um, if you, I usually say that the Denzel Washington in one of the interviews said, without commitment, you never start, but without consistency, you never finish. So the good
Oh.
story is that at the end of the day, you need to be wake up every morning and put the work, be consistent, keep doing it, and sooner or later things are gonna pay. Again, is it easy? No. For me, the shock was great when I got to this country. So the first time I came to US, it was in 2013,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and I went to Boston because I won kind of a research period fellowship at Harvard. So and when I got here, it was just for 6 months. It was my first time. Everything was amazing. It was, my God, this is America. But the first cultural and being alone in another continent, it's very challenging. And I know people who were with me that went back and never come back over here. So
Mm-hmm.
it's hard being alone, leave your family. I like my mom, dad, brother, everybody's in Italy. So slowly,
Okay.
slowly coming here, it's you come, you wake up, and maybe you want to quit, but you don't do it because you know that this is what you want to do. And 15 years later, whatever, I'm here and I made it. So it will take time, but it's possible.
Yeah. I just love that the quote from Denzel Washington that
Yeah,
you're talking about around commitment and consistency. And another quote that I thought of too while you were sharing your story was actually from Steve Jobs about how when you look back, all the dots connect,
yeah,
right? Because when you were just
absolutely.
talking about, like, okay, I was in Italy and then, I went to go get some like these jobs in London and then also going to med school and then now you were also working at restaurants and then learning English and then you went into modeling. But then all of that somehow tied together for you to be awarded the scholarship, right? The
Yeah,
fellowship to Harvard. And then you got to live in America,
yeah.
and it was a lonely path too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
you made a lot of sacrifices because I'm hearing that like the values and the culture is very family oriented too. So it was probably hard for you
Yeah, it
to.
still is. I mean,
It still
still,
is.
you have to say no to many things, but if Fabio today looks at Fabio 15 years ago, I
A
say
long
like
time ago.
long time
Just
ago.
kidding.
I'm
I'm
getting
kidding.
old.
I'm just kidding.
I am where I wanted to be. I
Okay. Yeah.
never, I don't regret this. I
Yes.
don't have second thoughts. Just I worked hard for to be exactly where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I wanted to take a step back, or
yeah,
like a lot of steps back, like past the 15 years. So a lot. But I wanted to ask you about like even before med school, before your 20 in your early 20s, what was it that inspired your idea to even go into med school? What were your values then and how did you craft it to put these structured plan and goals together to meet this dream?
So my mom is a nurse.
Oh, okay.
So since I grew, growing up, I was going with her to the hospital. She brought me to the hospital many times,
Mm.
and so I, since early on, I was exposed to what means to be diseased and people suffering, and for me was hard to think like, okay, Fabio, you see all of these, but you're unable to do something for these people. So
Mm.
since I was very, very young, I told you, but my mom talking about doctors and about hospital and taking care of people, for me was like no brainer. I want to help people and I want to know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my dad is a barber, and in the past, barbers, guys were also surgeons, and
Oh yeah, of course
they
they
were
got
right.
yeah.
You know what? So this is so I think I had this genetical stuff inside, and I wanted to take care of people and do it this using my hand, and
Oh.
that's why I become a surgeon.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's super interesting.
Yes.
But where did the acting dream come from?
Oh, I always loved. I'm a movie like fan. I love movies. I love American movies. I grew
Mhm.
up in the '90s, right? I was born in '86, so I grew up in the '90s,
Uh-huh.
and I was looking all these movie stars, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and all these great Hollywood star, and
Mhm.
I was looking at them like, oh man, I wanna do that. It's so cool to go to Hollywood, Los Angeles, and I become one of them. Now then I had to choose. I want
Oh.
to do something. I want to be a doctor.
Rock,
So
paper,
it
scissors.
finished.
Ah,
Yeah,
doctor, scalpel.
I
Okay, I'm
lost
just
that.
kidding.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay,
I
got
decided.
it. This is so interesting. Fun fact, when I was little, I wanted to be a dancer. I was obsessed with watching just live performances like Michael Jackson or Janet Jackson or just like anybody. I just loved watching the backup dancers, and I thought that was going to be the career that I would pursue. But then I had a very nonlinear path myself, um, to survive, to make money. But I'm still very happy where I am, and it also took a lot of hard work. I also,
It does.
I actually started in the pre med. Um, yeah, I started out in pre med in college, but it was more because I didn't know what else to do. And coming from an Asian culture, it's like be doctor.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's very
it's
stereotypical.
yeah, that's true. You're just realizing this right now. Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
I wonder if you're like surrounded by a lot of Asians in your
No,
hospital.
uh, well, it's very stereotypical. I mean, I don't want to say that, but it's true,
It's
right?
okay. We can
It's
talk
okay.
about it. It's.
Yeah.
I'm not here to sugarcoat. Like,
No, Italians are good at cooking, right?
At
No,
cooking.
not becoming a doctor.
and
This is
Vietnamese are good
pretty-
with nails.
And this is yeah, true. This is true as well.
It's okay. Like that's the stereotype. Yeah, actually, Italians are pretty good at cooking. Do you know how to cook?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Oh,
thank goodness. Okay, I'm just kidding.
yeah. My mom taught me everything. My grandmother, and so I learned.
Mm. Okay, before we get off tangent, because that was a fun tangent though. Yeah, no, I wanted to be a dancer, so yeah, that must have been a very hard choice. But was there any influence around the choice that you have to make, or any pressure?
No pressure. I
Mm.
I have to say no pressure, but I pressure myself. So and this is, I'm not saying is good or bad. I'm saying that if I decide to do something, I
Mhm.
put a lot of pressure on myself, and I
No,
just have to do it.
where did that come from?
I think my mom,
Mm.
she's very like that. She wants always, things done right, and it's great. I mean, I thank her a lot. And but when you put a lot of pressure of yourself, failure become not an option.
Mm.
Even though I failed many times in life, and it doesn't matter. I start again, start over. Never, never give up. But even when I failed, for me, failed was not an option.
Mm. Okay.
It was hard. It was tough. But it is because I put a lot of pressure on myself. So I'm very, how can I say, I do not forgive myself.
Mm, that's
Yeah,
really tough.
it is.
How do you navigate failure?
Um, so I am very resilient, or I just I do not accept it, but I know that is there. It happened, and it's not gonna stop me. So even if I say, Fabio, you should have done better, and I don't gonna pat myself on the back. I'm still say that that's not the end. I'm gonna start. Something I say every time. In Italy, to go into med school, you need to do a test, and you compete against a lot of other people. There's just a limited spot, and I failed that test 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
So first time went bad, second times went bad, and what did I do? I did the third time, and they went fine. And
Mm-hmm.
it's once a year, just to say that you was I happy? No, I was very critical and very upset with myself, but it didn't matter. I still did it again. I like to say to my brother, who is younger than I am, and people younger than me who have dreams, is the problem is not failing. It's problem, but it's not a big problem. The bigger problem is that when you fail, and when you think that, okay, that is it, I'm not gonna do it again. You fail, you stand up, you try it again if this is what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the point you will notice that failure is just another step closer to be successful.
Mm-hmm. You
The,
see it more like opportunities rather than
yeah,
failures.
the difference in between people who succeed in life and people who don't, it's not I'm better than other. It's when all of us fail, but failure didn't stop me. I tried again.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, there is a old saying in America. They say, like, if you hang enough outside a barber, sooner or later you're gonna get a haircut. So this is what I did in my life. I just hang there, and sooner or later I got my haircut. I didn't
I
went
like
home.
that.
Yeah.
No, in America, that's an
In America,
American.
I think it's in life. You just
Yeah.
need to be persistent.
No.
Just wait.
Yeah.
It might not happen now, but if you hang enough, sooner or later you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good saying. This is super interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to ask you actually, like, if knowing how you work so hard and failing those 2 3 times taking this test, if you were to go back or if you were looking back at this, would you have done it a different way?
No,
Oh.
I would have done exactly what I did, and I tell you more. Many people say if I was gonna go back, I will not make the mistake I made.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was gonna make the same mistake I did, because mistakes make me grow and
Mm-hmm.
make me the person I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that without those mistakes, without those failure, I could never make it. So
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna go back in life. I will do exactly what I did.
If you were to give a message for somebody very similar in what they're trying to achieve, to go through these hard tests and all these hoops and challenges and obstacles, what message would you have for them in a way where, yes, there's like, I think everyone is already so hard on themselves, and sometimes that takes a toll on your mental health and even people around you, and it becomes a competitive space and all of that. But I'm just curious, what would you, what would the message be to be able to succeed, but also not be so harsh on yourself, if you agree with that?
Yeah. So the best things I can say is that you wanna, for everybody who is trying to achieve any dream, it doesn't matter what it is. What you wanna do is just one day or every morning you wake up, you look yourself in the mirror, and you wanna like what you see. You
Mm,
want
I
to
like
like
that
what you
message.
see, right?
Yeah.
You want to be, yes, I like that. I like the person I am. And so, if in order to achieve that, there is a path. There are hoops and jumping here and there, and there's obstacles in life. And if you have, you need to know who you are, and you need to know, you say, okay, this is what I want to be, and is that person somebody who I like or I will like? If the answer is yes, it doesn't matter what happens. You can be hard on yourself, you can be easy on yourself. It's not important. Every morning you wake up and you know that you want to be that person.
Mm,
So you
hmm.
want to be, somebody that you like. And so if this is what you want, I will say that I can tell you, you cannot be hard on yourself. That's unfortunately is not going to happen. Every uh, person, I think, is hard on themselves. They want the best,
Hmm.
but that is only worth it if you're going towards a goal, which is being somebody I will like.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that message is very realistic because the truth is, we're always going to be hard on ourselves because we want the best for ourselves to like ourselves. So that makes sense. And also, I wanted to transition over to another topic too,
Mhm.
is that the field that you're in, what you're doing is difficult.
Yeah.
Not even going to sugarcoat that. And I'm sure that you deal with a lot of kinds of patients and there's deaths around you, like just a lot going on in the operating room or even in the hospital. And I was thinking about this question because that I'm about to ask you is because I had a friend that I was talking to. She's a school counselor and she was sharing some difficult stories about students that she had to work with, and they are going through a lot of things in their life in their early stages of life, like they're teenagers, 15, 16, dealing with like gang affiliation and probably they're just underrepresented students. And she shares a lot of sad stories, like there's like these kids like getting involved in things and they're dying and all that. And for her as a school counselor, of course it's very hard, and she has a lot of heart and care in what she's doing too. And I have a lot of empathy and compassion and just these kinds of roles and jobs, is because sometimes it can be quite thankless and you have to be the stronger person. And I'm sure you're probably doing the same thing too. And I wanted to ask you this is because I wanted to ask you, how do you navigate or handle those very difficult situations and basically kind of being the stronger one to kind of hold everything together. And how do you also keep the balance for your own mental health and your own mental peace when there's so much chaos and pain and death even around you?
um yeah, this is very hard. It's very difficult. You know you see horrible things happen every day. You see people suffering every day. You also go back home with a lot of professional and personal satisfaction because you can help people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry to break it, but you cannot save everybody. And uh, that is around you every day at work, and in a different scale and different. But the only way I will say is this: if people ask me, as your job, or did your job you know change you, or I would say yes, it did.
Mm.
Because there is no such a thing to disconnect, go home, and fake that nothing happened.
Yeah.
It happened, it's there. But for me, what makes me look myself in the mirror and say it's okay, is that I know that I do whatever I can, my best of my capability. And also, it made me change perspective in life. Now I
Mm.
am a different man that I was 10 years ago, because I see real problems
Mm-hmm.
and I give the right weight. And when you work in a place where and you do what I do, you see what real problem are. You see, like, people losing families, and children, and parents, and people with horrible disease. And so this is when I go out there and I have these things inside, I also appreciate more how lucky I am, and
Mm.
now to be healthy. My family is healthy, the people I love are healthy, and this is gives you a lot of a different perspective in life. So I navigate that. Actually, yeah, I can fake that this didn't happen. It's there, it's inside me. But when I go outside of the hospital, it actually say, wow, I'm very lucky to be in good shape, healthy, and be able to at least to try to help these people. So this is what I do. This is how I navigate. I just talk to myself and say that there is worse things in life that can happen, and
Mm.
you see this every day. Just go there, do your best to help these people, and then I go home, and you know I can't forget that. There's no way. But I can, I actually appreciate more what I have. And, the world that surrounds us is so beautiful. We should stop freaking killing it. Yeah.
Okay, powerful.
Yeah.
That is very powerful. Stop killing it. But also, the message here is that, there's just no way around just reality itself, right? And also, what you're saying is the self talk that you have for yourself, because you can't completely disconnect for something that is probably super traumatizing, what you're seeing and what you're witnessing. So, other than like self talk, like how else do you also take care of yourself so that you can see life so beautifully? Because I can't. I'm just being super realistic. Maybe some like people can't always just be like, you know what, great, life is so good and it's so beautiful when actually it's just chaos is like within them and around them. So I'm curious like what your thoughts are on how you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
So I do it different ways. I love to travel.
mhm.
I I love the beach. For me, that is my way to reconnect with myself. Dancing, music,
Ooh, dancing.
dancing, music. Um, I love movies. I still watch a lot of movies.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. This is gonna be my
Okay.
2000 careers.
Okay, me too. You become
Yeah.
an actor, I'm gonna become a dancer. Okay, stay tuned, you guys.
And other thing I will say is that I just accept the reality.
Mm,
So many people nowadays, everybody trying to escape reality, going, and social media is one of these, right? Social media,
very true.
everything is just, it's not true. Nothing, not does it that is true, but is something to escape what the real world is. And I happen to realize that the best way for me to face sufferance and death and people having hard time and horrible things, it just face the reality. That's the real world, and we can like it or not, that's not gonna go away. You can live in a fantasy world, you can live in a just put yourself, try to get out of reality, because it's, I told you, being on a screen and just look at a social media, or that's good, but is that's not the reality. So my best advice I do to myself is, this is the real world, this is the real life. The sooner you accept it, the better you're gonna cope with it.
Mm,
And
mhm.
if you don't do that, sooner or later it's gonna come and bite you, and you're not ready. So this is what I do. I'm ready for reality. I do this every morning.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wise words of Fabio. Thank
Old
you.
old man
Old
word.
man. Okay. It's not. You're not that old. It's okay. It's not too late.
That's
It's
it.
still not too late. But there's so much that you said there, and now I'm thinking about like time management because I don't imagine that neurosurgeons have a lot of time. And you're talking about traveling and dancing and even just keeping healthy. Like, how do you balance all of that together?
You know, you need to use all the time that you have, and my time is different than your time is different than somebody else's time,
Mhm.
but all of us have time, which is the most precious things ever. And you know, guys, when you realize how time is precious, when you're in a hospital and people are end of their life and the time is gone, that is when you realize how much valuable is the time, and how, you know, and you need to use it. Now, it's true, I work a lot, I don't have a lot of time, but I like to say it's not that I don't have a lot of time, I have just a different time. Whatever I have, I use it. And let me tell you this, every time, you know, I there's a lot of influencer and people who do like great speech and say, oh, you know, wake up in the morning at 5, you already need to work out. That's not my advice. My advice is a day as 24 hours. Use those 24 hours in the best way for you, which is not the best way for, you know, some talker or, you know, influencer there. You wake up, you have, from the moment you wake up, believe it or not, if you wake up at 8 or you wake up at midday, you still have 24 hours until the next day.
What? No
Yeah, can you
way.
believe it?
I
So
cannot.
is 8 to 8 next day or 12 noon to 12 noon is still 24 hours. So
Wow.
just use the time in the best way you can. Just make the best out of it. And if you use it right for your goals, you're good. You're fine. Just don't need to be so, you know, schematic. I have time very little, and the little I can make it a lot. I do whatever I can to that works for me. I learned. It took me 37 years to learn, right? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that advice. I actually have this fear of running out of time all the time, 24 hours all the time. And so just hearing that message is super powerful because I can relate to it. I love life. I try to take advantage of my time where I prioritize it, where it's just like doing things that feel good to you, right? Or that is right for you. So just prioritizing it in a way that makes sense to you, I think, is the message that you're going for. The wise words of Fabio. And speaking of time, I know that I'm taking a lot of your time already. You already have
it's okay.
little time, and I appreciate you
It's amazing.
putting the time in, but I do ask if you have time for to do something super fun.
Yes, we can do that. I mean, I hope so. I don't know. I don't want to commit.
Are you sure? Can we go back to that Denzel Washington quote?
Commitment you can start.
Okay, well, okay, I'm basically bringing us out of like the intense talk and topic here and do something a little fun, but
All
he
right.
was once a model. Fun fact, I was once a pageant queen. I can't believe I'm sharing this, but I was. And I even learned how to walk. I had a walking coach so that I
You
could
don't
be
need me. I can
fabulous.
tell you that.
You did too?
But you, but
Okay.
you don't need me.
Oh, yeah. No, okay. I don't need you. Okay, it's okay. That's got it. But
All right.
are you down to have a little runway model walk
Oh my
time?
God.
It's okay.
Sure.
We can have this, and then you can
Why
still
not?
put it in your pocket to use for your acting career and
Yes,
modeling
in the
career
future when I'm
if
gonna
you
quit
want
to
to.
be a neurosurgeon. All
But
right.
you
Can do that.
stop saving lives and just model.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, think about it. Fabio, that was so much fun.
Thank you.
Did you have fun?
It was so great. I was so much fun. Yes, I
That's
did.
not
I
convincing.
really have. I really, it's so fun. Yeah, it's great.
All
You know,
right.
it's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course. I love having fun.
it's
But
super fun.
but yes, I'm glad that you committed and that you had fun.
Oh, it's great.
And I just really want to thank you for your time. I really
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Yes. And this is Fabio Grazia. He's a neurosurgeon at where again? Sorry.
Denver,
In
Colorado.
Denver, Colorado, and a professor at University of Colorado.
University of Colorado. I
Yeah.
teach there as well. Yes,
Okay,
correct.
yes. So if you want to find him, he'll be there teaching and also operating on
Here
some
and there.
brains or something. But thank you for joining
You're
me.
welcome. It was great. Thank you for having me.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Subscribe to OnlyFam and follow
Yeah,
me.
subscribe. Don't forget.
Yes. Oh yeah. If you want to tell them.
Subscribe to OnlyPham, and she's great. You guys gonna love it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.